This is Staccato from the 2nd Street Dreams Audio Network. I'm Judlyn Gibson. This week, I have a note dotting the classical music landscape. This time, it's classical music and women by the numbers. Across the centuries, between the periods of early music all the way to 21st century contemporary classical, male composers have been lauded for their work. Some women did sneak into the classical music mainstream. Composer Amy Beach, whose composing career spanned the Romantic era of the 19th century into the 20th century. This is her composition, Gaelic Symphony, performed by the Portland Youth Philharmonic. On March 8th, International Women's Day, the United Nations Orchestra performed it in a concert dedicated to world peace. Just days ago, the Experiential Orchestra in New York completed its 4-day Julia Perry Centenary Celebration and Festival. This is her composition, Prelude for Strings. All well and good, considering it's Women's History Month. For Leanne Curtis, president of Women's Philharmonic Advocacy, it's an important yet small drop in the ocean of classical music composed by women.
We did sort of see some shifting after the pandemic and the whole, the George Floyd murder and, just people questioning what they were doing and reflecting the uprisings and change we saw in the U.S. But I think now we didn't really see that sort of promise of change continuing. I think things were just sort of slipping more into a status quo. So, we do see some interesting programs, but statistically, not really a lot of change.
Every year, the Women's Philharmonic Advocacy releases its repertoire report. It analyzes the programming of the top 21 U.S. symphony orchestras.
The number of composers represented is 22% women and 78% men, but then it's also broken down by number of pieces and number of performances. So total performances, 10% of the works that are performed are by women, but so that's 90% of the works are still by men. I think it's mostly disappointing.
Curtis says it's the younger conductors, those taking the places of the retiring maestros, the traveling guest conductors, youth orchestras, and smaller groups that are performing more works by women.
It is happening. It kind of seems to be more of a trickle-up mentality. It's like the smaller community groups and youth groups, and they're really showing commitment to looking for this off-the-beaten-path repertoire, and then some of the larger orchestras, we hope, will be paying attention to them.
In the world of opera, the previously mentioned Experiential Orchestra won a Grammy in 2021 for its world premiere recording of Dame Ethel Smythe's opera The Prison from 1930. Leanne Curtis, president of Women's Philharmonic Advocacy, is hoping the conductors of these smaller orchestras will move up to the top 21 American orchestras and start programming more women composers.
I find optimism in what a lot of the smaller ensembles are doing. The Oakland Symphony, they did a piece of piano concerto by Doreen Carwithen with Samantha Ege as the soloist. Yeah, so that was just fantastic to hear.
Find the links on the Staccato page on 2ndstreetdreams.com. That's Staccato. I'm Judlyn Gibson on the 2nd Street Dreams Audio Network.